Hi, I'm Mike Stoops, the Senior Global Product and Training Specialist at Meguiar's. And as that title implies, my job takes me all over the world talking to people just like you about surface care and surface protection on their cars. And I see a lot of commonality, whether I'm in Russia or Latin America or anywhere in Southeast Asia. People that are new to this, there's some common mistakes that they make. Maybe some misperceptions they have on some things. And I want to relate to you something that happened when I was in Russia a couple of years ago, where everybody kept asking me what's the most aggressive liquid and pad combination that I can use on a DA. And after I got this question a few times, I started to think, what's going on here in Moscow that everybody wants to know what's the most aggressive? So I finally asked them, why do you want to know? Why does everybody want to know what's the most aggressive? And they told me it's the most efficient. Don't get trapped into that, okay? Here's what ended up happening. We were doing some comparisons of different compounds on microfiber pads on the hood of a black Bentley Continental in this detail center. Beautiful place. The hood of this car, well, actually the paint all over the car was kind of a mess, but we were doing a bunch of comparison testing, which means we were doing a lot of test spots. And I was getting a feel for how things were responding, how this paint was responding. And this is the really critical part. You have to understand what the paint on the car that you're working on wants. What is the best combination for that paint to get you the results that you're looking for in the least amount of time possible, right? I mean, you're detailing for dollars, time is money. But as a detailer, one of the biggest things that you have ownership of and that you really need to think about is you need to remove the defects from the paint while maintaining as much of the integrity of the paint as you possibly can. So if you keep swinging with the biggest hammer you can find, yeah, you're going to get rid of the defects, but are you really doing the best thing for the paint? So we fast forward until we were done with all this testing, and the head detailer in this place, his name's Artum, he challenged me to a buff-off. Now, I normally hate this kind of stuff because you never really know what's going to happen. And what he wanted to do was compare how I don't even know if it was a homemade Russian compound that he had or what, but something that was available there in Moscow with these really kind of funky multi-stage foam-backed microfiber pads that they were getting from China. He wanted to compare this on a tall stroke DA to the Meguiar's M100 on a wool pad on a rotary on this Bentley. And I said, I'm not really interested in doing that because I don't really think either one of those combinations is the right way to go. He insisted that we do it, and I said, okay, I'll do it under one condition. After you do your thing and I do what I'm being forced to do, I get to do whatever I want to do, and he agreed to it. So he takes his tall stroke DA with his Russian compound and his Chinese pads, and he does a test spot on the back of the Bentley. I do a same size test spot with M100 and a wool pad on a rotary polisher a little bit over from where he did it. We get the residue wiped off, we hand the light, everybody's looking at it, and everybody agrees that he got about 85% defect removal, but he had some DA haze. So he's going to need to do a second compound step, and he's going to have to come back with a polish to get rid of the haze. Looking at what I did with M100 on a wool pad on the rotary, well, we got about 85% defect removal, and of course no DA haze, but we had a bit of a rotary swirl or a light hologram. So I would have to go back with a second compound pass and then a polish pass to get rid of the defect that was put in by the tool. So we were pretty much tied. And then I did what I wanted to do. And I took M205 on a microfiber pad on a DA, and I did a spot right in between what Artum had done and what I had done. And when I finished and we wiped off the residue, I handed him the light. He looked at it and said, how is that possible? It's a finishing polish, and that paint is perfect. He said, remember all the testing that we did on the front of the car? We did all these different liquids on these different pads on the same paint, and I was getting a feel for what that paint liked. He wasn't really paying attention. Those were all test spots. We were talking to the paint to figure out what the paint wanted. I had a really strong feeling that that 205 on microfiber was what that paint wanted. It was a far less aggressive approach, and the paint loved it. They were blown away. Everybody in Russia, I started picking up followers on Instagram, and to this day I've got Russian detailers, hi to all you guys out there, that were amazed that a far less aggressive approach was actually the best way to go, and the paint loved it. Do your test spot. understand what a test spot is. Take a little bit of time, figure out what's the best approach on that paint to get you the result you're looking for in the time allotted. You're going to be so far ahead of the game. It's going to make you a better detailer, and if you're doing this for money, it's going to make your customers happier, and word of mouth advertising is about as good as it gets in this game. Slow down, stop and think about it, learn how to talk to the paint. It'll put you way ahead of the game. I hope that helps, and I look forward to seeing every one of you again sometime in the future, somewhere out there making paint shine.